Hi, Dr. Gibson here. Welcome to another episode of Brain Food. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between eating whole foods and getting your nutrition from these whole complete foods and the food-like substances that we get from the grocery store. All of these packaged foods, the junk foods, and the other incomplete nutrition that most people get from their day-to-day food. Alright, so if you really want a good basic rule of thumb to look at when you're grocery shopping on how to buy foods and how to get foods that are going to be good for you, the first rule to follow is look at the food you want to buy, and if people didn't eat it 100 years ago, you probably shouldn't eat it. Actually the vast majority of our modern food is now processed and packaged, and through that processing we lose a lot of the nutrition. It's either heated to a high temperature to where we lose a lot of the vitamins and nutrients out of that food, and it also has a lot of added chemicals such as MSG and aspartame and all of these other food dyes and colors, things that our body simply cannot use and are harmful to our cells. And another way to look at this is all of these food additives, they're not just not good for us, they're actively damaging our cells. So when we look at our junk food, don't just think, well, yeah, I get it, that's not healthy for me. Or, yeah, maybe if I eat that, it'll make me fat. It's more than that. Every time you eat these chemicals cause mutations inside your DNA, in the cells. They're actually mutating your cells. And we're not talking about the cool kind of mutations like you have in the movies where you have superpowers. We're talking about the kind of mutations that cause disease and cancer. You don't want to have anything to do with this. And so the more of these chemicals that you're exposed to, the more mutations you have. Now your body can handle some of the small mutations. It's going to correct those and fix these. But the more you're exposed, the more your body has to work with this, and the more it's not going to keep up with it. And we never know which mutations are going to slip through. And these mutations are going to start to cause cells to malfunction. They're going to start to cause disease. And eventually we're going to be exposed to real terrible things, life-threatening things like cancer. And so it is a very real thing, and you want to stay away from all of these chemicals. As much as possible, eliminate everything artificial out of your food. If God didn't make it, you don't want to eat it. These man-made chemicals just simply do not act and play well with our cells. Our body has to be able to either assimilate or eliminate these things that come into our mouth. And if we cannot use it to build, grow, feed, fuel the body, then we must be able to detoxify it or eliminate it from the body. And if we can't eliminate it, then it becomes toxic or poisonous to the body. And so we want to start with the best complete whole food nutrition that we can in the very first place. So you try to design your diet the very best you can. But I get it. We don't all live on a farm where we can grow our own food and we can have perfect variety of nutritious vegetables and fruits and grass-fed beef and organic free-range chicken. We live in a world where things become busy and hectic, and so an easy way to help fill in the gaps where we know that our diet isn't perfect is to get a whole food supplement, a supplement that is made from whole foods so that we can actually fill in the gaps of where we're not eating perfectly. When I ask my average patient, how's your diet? They say, pretty good. And what they really mean is, I know someone who eats worse than I do. Not a really good way to decide whether or not you're having a healthy diet. And not too many people send their food out to the lab either to make sure they're getting all of the basic nutrition that they need. And our human body needs over 90 basic nutrients. And now these nutrients are kind of in their boiled down form. And when we get that in different plants, there's literally hundreds of thousands of different variations of these vitamins and mineral ascorbates that we find in and phytonutrients in our vegetables and our fruits and our meats. And so if we boil that down, there's about 90 basic nutrients that we need. And the average person is only getting about 15 to 20 of those in a given day out of their food. And just like any machine, if we start taking parts out of the body, out of this machine, the machine is going to break. So there's no wonder that we have so many diseases and people have aches and pains and they just don't feel good and they're having mental ability and stress is taking hold of them. It's because their body just simply cannot keep up with the burden of life when it doesn't have the nutrition to fuel it and feed it and repair it. And we get that fuel and feed and repair those nutrients from whole foods. And that's where we've got to start. And we're going to talk more about this concept as we go along. So this is just kind of a beginner to start up to get you to understand that it does matter what you eat. It does matter what you put into your body. And we've got to start with whole foods, complete foods, a wide variety of nutrition to give our body the best possible chance of getting the nutrition that we desperately need. Remember, these things are not just a good idea. These are mandatory. If you want to stay alive and be healthy, you need these. You have to have these. These are not optional. So remember, whole foods, and we'll get more on this later. Thanks, and be healthy on purpose, not by accident.